Welcome back to National Report. You're taking a live look right now at the Midway Airport in Chicago here. As we see a car drive by, not seeing any planes taking off at the moment. According to local media, there were about 15 cancellations as of 5:30 this morning. Some delays were present, but everything was less than 15 minutes at both Midway and Chicago O'Hare. It has taken about a week to get back on track, but Southwest appears to be back to normal operations today. This was promised by the CEO. According to FlightAware, Southwest has canceled about 39 flights. It's about 1% of its schedule.
The meltdown causing more than 2,300 flights to be canceled during the holiday weekend, or about 60% of its schedule. Airline executives blaming crew scheduling technology and Mother Nature. Southwest will refund tickets and reimburse travelers, it says, forced to pay for hotel rooms, meals, and flights for other airlines. Evan Weiss is the founder and chief operating officer of LW Hospitality Advisors, and he joins us now on National Report. Thanks for your time today. What is the travel advice, I guess, you'd give to people who are on the move this holiday season with everything we've been seeing from Southwest Airlines this past week?
Well, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I think my primary advice would be to travel private. No, obviously that's a joke. But of course, I think things like preparation are tremendously important. A lot of the advice I would give is kind of, I'd call generic. It's not necessarily that of a travel expert. A lot of it is kind of have a lot of patience, leave a lot of time at the airports. Don't get to the airports like someone like myself, within 15 minutes of your flight departure. Travel insurance in situations like this is extremely important. It can help you with hotels and reimburse for your trip. Another thing that a lot of folks don't really do these days, we use a lot of online travel agencies, we use a lot of other sort of mechanisms, technology to book our travel. Booking direct with a hotel or an airline can be very helpful in times like this, where you have a direct relationship and you have the ability to have a conversation with an actual human and not go through a third party or an intermediary. And something kind of an old school piece of advice that I would give to a lot of folks is use travel agents. Over time, folks have obviously gone to the online travel agencies such as Expedia or Travelocity, Kayak, Booking.com, et cetera, But using old school travel agents is a tremendous benefit in times like this. Someone to pick up the phone 24/7 and help you out.
Yeah, absolutely, right? They'll be there instead of placing you on hold, maybe for hours at a time. We know, Evan, a lot of these area hotels have had to accept folks who weren't able to board their flights. Have you heard reports of those filling up? Has everyone been able to keep up with demand?
Yeah, I think it's really dependent upon the location. It's interesting in a place like New York City. We look at the hotel business nationally, even globally. But in a place like New York City, the time between Christmas and New Year's is generally not the busiest time. It's sort of a lead up to Christmas. People go home for the holiday, and then it's a relatively soft period in the middle, and then obviously it gets busy again. Kind of pre New Year's Eve through New Year's, and then up through the second. So in places like New York, we really haven't heard of too much overbooking. In fact, a couple of the operational folks that I've spoken with, we have contacts with both the brands and the management companies and the local operators as well, and they were telling me that they were able to accommodate late arrivals or pushing a day here and there. So it's interesting. I don't know if it's interesting if you think about it. Airlines don't have a whole lot of competition. There's 5 of them, 6 of them, depending upon what area of the nation you're in. The big guys like United, Delta, American, et cetera, Southwest in this case. On the hotel side, yes, there's very large brands such as Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, IHG, Intercontinental, Wyndham, Choice, et cetera. But the individual hotels are by and large owned by much smaller owners. And so that gives the hotels a little bit more of a push towards true hospitality, a little bit more flexibility. I mean, just look at when you book an airline ticket. Up until recently, it was very difficult to cancel it for less than $200, right, pre-pandemic. And now with hotels, it's almost, maybe around the holidays, it's 1 or 2 weeks, but typically it's a 24 to 36 hour cancellation window. So it's a bit of a different business and a bit of a different mentality towards the customer.
Evan, I wonder, will there be a cascading effect in the travel industry due to these problems we've been seeing with Southwest this week? If folks are reluctant maybe over the next several months to book with Southwest and they go to other airlines, will this cause, do you expect costs to rise on other airlines for an increase in demand if you're basically shutting down one of the major airline carriers in the U.S.?
Yeah, to be candid, I actually think that Southwest historically has been one of the most customer friendly. They were actually the first to do or never had any cancellation or change fees. And so because of that, I think if they are forthright, I think a lot of it will depend upon how they handle this crisis, and it is and was a crisis. If they're forthright, they tell you what went wrong, and they communicate appropriately, I believe that their customers will forgive them. The folks that have status on the airline will continue with them. I truly don't believe that we'll see a massive movement to other airlines because, quite frankly, at any given point in time, there's been massive issues with, frankly, all the airlines. So my opinion, and it is just that, is that Southwest does not lose a tremendous amount of business. The airline business is susceptible to this. Again, it will be about how they handle their customers, how they handle the fees and the hotel fees and all that over the next, call it 3 to 6 months, and what they do.
Yeah.
I think it's up to them, I think is the point. In terms of demand and prices rising, I mean, we've seen prices rising on air travel dramatically. We don't yet have capacity back to pre-pandemic levels, but travel is returning very quickly, and travelers are returning very quickly to pre-pandemic levels. And because of that, we've seen prices rise, just simple supply and demand demographics.
Yeah, Southwest, definitely a new hire in the new year, PR specialist, right? Something within their marketing department to really correct the message and make it right with their customers. And by making it right, Evan, what does that mean in regards to reimbursement? What would you recommend folks who've had everything canceled? Should they hold on and document every single one of their additional costs?
I think so. I think that's exactly right. I think that, whatever the policy, again, I think the hotels are probably the easier part here. I think whether you can get a future credit or something of that nature, I think that that's probably more probable. However, on the airline side, you never know. They may take a hard line. So my advice would be to document everything, memorialize in writing if possible, get names, get numbers, get badge numbers, if you will, and do everything you can. And again, if you book through a travel agent, have them handle it. If you have travel insurance, make that claim as soon as possible. And again, yeah, documentation and communication is definitely the key here. But it remains to be seen what they'll end up doing about canceled plans and canceled hotels and things of that nature. I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic.
Yeah, an unexpected cost for a lot of travelers this holiday season, unfortunately. Evan Weiss, thanks for weighing in. Appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you.